I'm uploading a little bit of music. I think I'll do another session a little later tonight, but I thought I would throw this out there because it just was hitting me. I do like watching Sargon's This Week in Stupid. He does get those. He knows how to dial them in. Some of these sometimes there's articles that I'm very surprised I've not seen. The Telford thing, this is something. Remember that this whole phenomena we've been noticing, this psychological phenomena, center, and so many people on the center are now moving rightward because they're seeing this mass projection. So these, where, oh, you were colluding with the Russians, ends up that the Clinton Foundation, there's this incredibly complicated web of Bill Clinton making a speech, getting this inordinate amount of money, then that goes to the Clinton Foundation, a foundation that's never been properly filed with the IRS for like 20 years. They have multiple offshoots that have never been properly filed with the IRS. They handle the money of like private corporation, small country level budget. Um, and every time you give to them, suddenly your issue gets handled magically. You suddenly what you wanted happens. And that nobody wants anybody talking about the Clinton Foundation. If you talk about the Clinton Foundation, suddenly it's like all the entire media is on top of you. If you talk about Hillary Clinton in any negative way, in a way that's quite obvious, like how unlikable she actually comes across. No, you. I mean, you have four. You suddenly have four articles, and a special being done on you about what a horrible person you are for not loving Hillary Clinton. It's that nobody can decide whether it's who's queen. Is it Beyonce or Hillary Clinton? Um, so I started to really think about the claim about patriarchy when you see now over and over and over again how in Britain, where you have just insane feminists, totally insane feminists that are part of the government itself, and they can make wild-eyed, in just nutty claims about things. They'll do anything to take men out of jobs and put women into them, no matter how poorly they perform. They'll game the numbers. They'll do everything they can. It's destroying the NHS. The Turd Fling Monkey has done some looking into that, where if you look at the numbers of who goes into medicine by gender, who then the NHS has on their payroll, and then who is on the payroll for 10 years. Who's a doctor for 10 years, not who leaves for 4 to 8 to raise the kids, or just leaves, so that the British people have paid this tremendous amount of money for somebody to become a doctor, be in the NHS, and then only work in it like 4 to 6 years out of their entire working career, maybe a decade total. Where men will do, male doctors will do, bizarre amounts of hours per week. So the this wide-eyed claim, the patriarchy. It's obviously a projection, because how could it be that Europe has women being raped everywhere, and it's the most explicitly demanding of a feminist, the most left and the most the most extreme feminist concepts in policy and governance. In those countries, the women are attacked openly, in public, sexually, by mostly Pakistanis, Afghanis, and other Muslims, North Africans, and such. How could this be in such a patriarchal society, where the men, say in America, where if you look at the gap, the interracial the interracial rape gap. And you see it consistently across the first world. No, this is life in the matriarchy. Once you actually read about what matriarchies were, how people behaved when societies were matriarchies, and then what happened so that they became patriarchal, and that women's the value of their sexual virtue rose through the roof, such that there were wars over it. Legend, in Greek lore and legend. What we are seeing now is that everything is, like Briefold had pointed out, things don't advance to a matriarchy. They collapse and become a matriarchy again. That's the only evidence. He was like, it doesn't matter what anybody wants to claim, that there is no evidence contrary to this, that everything else is wishful thinking. It's people wanting it to be like that. There is no advancement to matriarchy. Matriarchy is the state when humans can barely feed themselves, and the only thing that has any magical powers is the vagina, because it just spits out humans, and the only purpose of staying alive or doing anything is just simply to make more humans. You're just at rabbit level, chimp level, make more chimps. And rather than the stage that we have now, where have enough of them that you can raise them to be sort of their utmost, because our world is extremely complicated. The sheer numbers of us and the complexity of our modern societies. There's just a lot of people that this has all happened within less than 500 years. So there's just billions of humans that simply that electricity is fucking with them evolutionarily, and that's, I think, the RK thing. One of the things about this is adaptability. Are there people that their psychic traits are adaptable to extremely complex civil society, where you are in a civis, where you're in cities, and most of what people do is based on a structure of life that's based around cities, not based around sort of semi-nomadic village places where people will stop and there's weird customs to understand so that everybody knows whose property rights. It's like, no, there's a civis, and there's a system of law, there's a system of law enforcement and justice, there's courts, all that business. There's some people who it is appearing that they're being outpaced by this, like by the millions. The millions of their people are being outpaced, and that's why I realized how nationalism, the argument for nationalism, was so good. I didn't realize that when I was a liberal, that what I was really thinking was nationalism. That you need to let people take time to make civil society jive with their social customs and moral systems that already exist. No, Africa needs to now redevelop its cities, however it can, however it will. For all colonialism was good, and for what parts were bad, it's now there's no going backwards. Now Africa has to develop however it's going to develop. But as far as the first world is being governed now by sort of a pseudo socialist goddess religion thing, and that's, to me, that's really Rocky Mystery nailed it. There is no separating the socialists and the left-hand path from women and women behaving badly culture, which is now we're over a decade into this, just women behaving badly, Sex in the City and beyond. where, oh, I'm sassy. I say things that make me obviously look crazy, and I have a big ass mouth. I'm sassy. Um, and, I know a lot about Netflix. What are you going to tell me? Oh my God, Um, all of this is not going to matter when times get tough. It'll be fascinating to see the changeover. There's some things I'm already seeing that I'm like, when you smell smoke, a lot of you start breeding. Interesting. Good to know. This has happened a couple times already. I was around to see 2008. A lot of you started spitting out kids around that time. Things got tough. Time to breed, just in case. Yes. So, there is no blaming the patriarchy anymore. This has been shown out now. We're just, it's on the feminists now. Will they do anything? No, of course not. All this women marching, blah, 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 they won't do anything about it. They won't deal with the real pattern that would show through the use of criminology. They have the patterns. They have all the patterns. They know exactly what to do. They know exactly what to do. They know exactly who fails to do the job consistently in protecting them, the women. They won't do anything about it because the movement is phony. It's phony baloney. It's awesome. They'll have to embrace some form of traditionalism because traditionalism strings motherfuckers up for that shit.